In the prior video, we added a new parameter to our business rules that would tell us whether or not to use Infopath, the MSO option, or not. And that was simply a Boolean variable that we added to our business rule. And then in our orchestration, we added an if statement here. We should actually change this rule name to say use Infopath. And if it's true, if this Boolean variable is set to true, then we're going to construct a message and we're going to insert the MSO directive inside our XML message by converting it to string, replacing the string, and then converting it back to XML, and then building our PO out to message. So I've deployed this, I've restarted my BizTalk host, I'm ready to run it. Notice I have 3 messages right now in my map out needs approval, and I'm going to go to map demo in, and then I'm going to find my standard message here that we've been copying. Let's copy it, and I've reset everything so we're ready to go. Okay, I always like to check hat just to see if things are going good. Okay, so here, what time are we? We're 2:49. You can see what's happening here. Run it again. Okay, this was the demo we did the other day. Don't worry about this FTP server. That was some other demo we were doing. The question here is, where's the orchestration? At 2:49, I don't see an orchestration. That's the bigger problem. Okay, I don't see the problem. I think maybe I actually dropped the wrong file, so I'm just going to be more careful this time. This is the file I'm going to drop. It's our PO 1500. It's a standard purchase order. We'll copy it over here. And we're getting the same result, unfortunately. Okay, so here was the problem. The orchestration had an error when it tried to call the business rule policy here. See, an exception occurred in the executing the policy so-and-so. And basically what happens is we passed it a field. It tried to fill in that field, and that field was not initialized. We also could find this by looking at our application event viewer here and looking at all these X-lang errors, which I didn't see at first. So we have one little programming correction to make in our orchestration. And that would be at the very beginning, before we call the business rules, right here, we build the message PO trace. And we do that via this map. See, what happens is we added this new field here and we didn't initialize it. So when it went to the business rules tried to populate a field that didn't exist, and that basically caused the error. So what we need to do is add a little true or false here to this field. And let's say it's false by default. Okay, so to retest everything now, I will redeploy this whole thing, and I'll come back when that's done. Okay, my redeploy was done. I've restarted BizTalk. So we're going to run this again. Go to hat. Now you see at 2:59, not 2:58, orchestration, pipeline completed, orchestration started. And we expect the orchestration to pause while it writes to disk, right? So we're going to go to the approval out, and looking at the time here, 14:59 is our new file. So I'm going to do a view of that in the browser. And what we're looking for is not actually here. So you see right here is our NSO approved PO. And what we expect to see is actually a whole bunch of stuff inserted right between these two spots right here. So we either have a coding problem or a data problem somewhere. So let's go back to the orchestration. So one thing we could do is in our trace here, we should probably actually display what our value was, right? actually we do. Okay, message standard. No, we don't display the output of the rules here. So actually right here we'll use both XML docs, and we'll display both the message in and the rule file. So the rule file, okay, I can't use the IntelliSense when I'm inside of a if statement here. So it's message PO trace I want to put here. And so receive standard PO. I don't even know what this means. Additional debug info. So let's take that out. And then let's put here received from business rules message PO trace equals, and then here we'll put XML doc2 outer XML. That way we'll be able to see if we got a true or false back from the business rules. Okay, so I'm assuming that's correct, but let's go check our other logic. So right here, first question is, what did we send? We send message approved PO out to, so we are sending the right message. And then here we're constructing PO out to, here we're constructing PO out to. So the other question here is, which branch did we actually fall through? So we can find one of our trace statements like here, and let's copy it here just to make sure we took the right path. So that's 2000. I like to use numbers here in all my traces. So let's call this 2010. And we'll say using Infopath MSO. And here it might be nice to display the exact message, by the way. So here we already have our message loaded in XML doc2. So right here we can simply say XML doc2 should still be in memory and display its outer XML. And just one more thing we'll do to make this a little cleaner, I'm going to put the message name right here. Okay, and then we're going to copy the exact same message here, and then we're going to change it to, for instance, 11, so we have different numbers. And here we're going to say not using Infopath. And then the message we would need to display here, we don't have it in an XML document yet. So we'll actually have to copy these 2 lines of code, stick right here, create a new XML document, and then here we want to say out to, and then here we have XML doc. Let's go ahead and use 2. Trace 2011, not using Infopath. The message we're going to write out to disk is this. So I'm just trying to still in my mind debug what could have gone wrong. Did we go through, I think we went through this path. If we did I have a logic problem here? So let's just double check it. String XML is going to be the approved PO out. The question is, did this replace work? If something we were trying to replace here did not exist, then it wouldn't work. And I think that's the problem. Notice that NS1 there. When I look at the file on the disk, BizTalk likes to use NS0, I believe. Aha! So there is the problem right there. See that NS0? Okay. And one of these others I was using as a model actually had NS1, so apparently Infopath prefers NS1. It doesn't really matter as long as it's the same and we know what we're doing here. So we're going to say change NS0. And before I redeploy this again, I always have to terminate any suspends of that orchestration. Actually, the orchestration is still running because it's waiting on the manager to approve, right? So I need to terminate that before I deploy. So I'm going to go off the video while this deploys. Okay, the deploy has succeeded. I want to go back to my demo map demo in, copy the file. I've already restarted BizTalk host. So we're waiting for a new file to appear here. Give it 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, I expect it to appear any minute now. If it doesn't, we need to go check hat. I may just be a little impatient. Something's wrong here. It should be 308, not 259. So something is wrong. Okay, there's our 308. It just seemed like it took a little while to start for some reason. And there's our 5th file. So I'm pressing total commander F3 to browse the file. And you can see now that we actually do have the MSO tag in here right in front of the NS0 approved PO. And that was our intention all along. So now if I right click and say open with Infopath, hopefully the magic will happen. And voila. So we don't need this message. But anyway, the manager now sees a nice pretty form. He doesn't see the ugly XML anymore. And obviously this form could be pretty with more colors and stuff. But the manager then fills it in and does the same kind of stuff we did before. So Infopath, just to recap this, is one solution for your human workflow when a manager or somebody needs to approve a document. Just to give you other ideas, you could actually have an ASP.NET web application that monitors this directory, or you could write your data to an SQL database. I mean, there's many ways you could do the same type of thing here. But the idea is that someone needs to be monitoring this directory or some database and needs to approve certain POs. And then what happens if they don't approve it after a certain amount of time passes? You might need to escalate it to a higher person. So that concludes this video on using Infopath in your orchestration by writing out this secret codes here, so to speak, the MSO codes that Infopath puts in the file in order to know which template to use to open it.